Zombies got their cups and yeah, they sipping leaning. Guess they could explain it why these niggas squeezing. Young Moby's in the jungle, west for different demons. DJ combo hitters on the
Oh man! All right.
life it wasn't always perfect, but we made it work.
It's good, world. This is the Young Pillars podcast. Young Pillars, turning boys into men and men into pillars. The idea here is that we are going to have the conversations that I will have with men that I consider, black men that I consider wise and discerning, to speak on black male issues, because there is a shortage of that information available on the internet. And so today I have here with us Matthew Jean.
Yes, sir.
He is the CEO and primary therapist of Beachstone Counseling in Pompano Beach, Florida. He is also a husband and a father of 4 beautiful girls. He has a beautiful family. And so I wanted to get his perspective on a topic that's been trending as of late, which is struggle love, right? And so you guys, I'm sure, have seen Pastor John Gray and his comments that have gone viral last week, dealing with the fact that his wife really held him down through some difficult times. And he used some mothering language that really triggered some of our black women. And so I wanted to talk to Matt as a marriage and family therapist, as a black man, and as a husband, to get his take on the subject. So Matt, I don't know if you'd like to add anything about yourself.
That's it, man. You covered it, man. That's it. Father, husband, business owner, therapist. That sums me up, man. That's just about it.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Yeah.
Talk to me, man. Talk to me about struggle love. And for those who don't know, struggle love is when, generally speaking, the man don't got his stuff together and the woman has her stuff together, and she's trying to essentially help him grow, help him develop while in a relationship. And oftentimes this ends in disaster for the woman. Right? And so Matt, talk to me, man. Talk to me about struggle love, man.
I saw parts of the interview and I enjoyed the interview. I think it's something that I would like to see and hear more of. Seeing people invest in other individuals to the point to where there's unconditional positive regard. Meaning, I think a part of his story wasn't that she expected him to be better. She just was with him while he wasn't where he could have been, you know? And so a huge part of that I got from it was the acceptance of the acceptance love. So struggle love is in there, but the acceptance of where he was, that's what she gave him. And I think a lot of men and women need to know that wherever they are, that they can just be accepted, that love can still be had even in the midst of whatever struggles or circumstances they're in. So if I don't have my degree right now, will somebody still love me? I don't have the job that my 6-figure salary or high fives. Will someone still love me? You know, I'm still maturing and learning what it is to be a man. Can someone still love me? And the answer is yes. You know, the answer is yes. On the other ends of it, on the other side, I do understand, the trepidation that women could have about not wanting to invest because of, it's not a solid investment. You're going to give and give and give, and then he can leave you.
So I guess that's the question then, man.
Right.
How do you know a good investment from a bad one? Because that's what the women are saying. Hey, we've invested in y'all brothers.
Right.
But when y'all clean yourself up,
right?
Y'all out. Or y'all never clean yourself out, and we gotta leave. Either way, we end up burnt out, tired, and angry.
Right. But that's what love is. That's what love is. Love is that investment that you may not get the return on. And that's what marriage is. Marriage, you don't always get what you put in. The hope is that when you learn enough about love, you learn that the best part about it isn't necessarily receiving it, it's giving it. And when you can give it wholeheartedly, the reward is in the gift that you give. Being able to love someone when they can't even love themselves, man, that's a gift. And I feel like we're losing the essence of it because we romanticize it, because it always seems to be like it has to be reciprocal. I'm gonna love you, but I need you to love me the same. Well, if the person can't even love themselves enough to best themselves, then how then are they supposed to give you something that they don't even have for themselves? So I, on both ends, I understand,
Mhm.
you know. And so the question I hope to answer it is, how do you then know if it's a good investment?
Yeah.
You don't, you know.
Mhm.
I don't know if there's a telltale sign to be like, man, I shouldn't really do it. Of course, there are those red flags that we know about,
Mhm.
you know, that you shouldn't even, you know, maybe even mess with an individual, you know.
Such as?
Well, a red flag could be the way a person treats, you know, his mom or his
Mhm.
sister or another woman that's, you know, close, or the way the person, let's see, the way if the person even have ambition for
Mhm.
themselves, you know, is the person accepting the reality and allow that to be their dominant understanding of the world, you
Mhm.
know. So like the I don't care mentality, or like the defeatist mentality, or no purpose, or no drive, you know.
Mhm.
These things I don't know if you really would, you know, want to, or someone that has issues beyond what would be a good mesh for you, you know.
Mhm.
Like someone could be have violent tendencies or addictive tendencies that they would need to work on individually before you become a unit, dating or, you know, courting or marriage, you know. So those are those things that the person may need to work on individually. But if the person is in a space where they are, you know, not, you know, a physical threat to you, an emotional threat to you, a psychological threat to you, you know, spiritual threat to you, then, you know, the investment should be okay. You know, I can give it a run. You know, let's see where this takes me. That's how most relationships starts.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily know at the onset, but you're willing to give it a shot. You give it a go, and then you learn. You know, what did I learn in a month? What is this person showing me about who they are and how they relate to me and how we relate to each other in this relationship? And with more exposure, you make better decisions. You create healthier boundaries, and you proceed to the next level, to the next level, to the next.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, man, let me ask, man, because you know I know my sisters, man,
Right.
and I know how they going I know how they gonna hear this,
And
and
like,
so
nah.
yeah, I know how they gonna hear this, man, and so I gotta ask,
Yeah,
brother, like,
yeah.
are you telling me
Uh-huh.
that the relationship ethics that we currently practice in the black community are normal? That relationships as a scene, we're not no comparisons here with the Asian
Right.
community.
Right.
In the black community, would you say that how we practice relationships currently is healthy and normal?
I can't say I can't answer that fully because I don't know what all of the practices are.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd have to be specific on one specifically, and then I can, you know, start.
So
to
I mean, from
give-
like a
give me one.
sociological perspective, man,
Right.
like, you know, just like just looking at our community as a broad brush. Oftentimes,
Right.
you know, many kids, you know, our men are you know, seeding all over the place, man. You
Right.
know, they're not taking
Right.
care of their children.
Right.
You know, they're not marrying the women. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's not always the men's fault. I'm not here to
Right.
dog the brothers out. You
Yeah.
know, it take two to tango sometimes.
Yeah.
But man, if I had to keep it real, man, our sisters are killing us right now, bro. And I mean, they outpacing us in terms of career success, you know, achievement,
Yeah.
man. So oftentimes they're marrying underneath themselves, quote unquote.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, man, talk to me, man. You know,
So yeah,
what do we do?
okay. So there's a lot you just said there, man.
Mhm.
We have to unpack. You know?
Yeah.
Let's go to one of the first things you said. I think about the women that are outpacing us, right? That's not that's not something bad. You know,
No.
our women are very black women, particularly, are very bright, very strong. They're very intelligent, and they pursue their dreams. You know, with no issues with failure, with no issues with you know, with not having the success that they need, with no issues with sacrifice. But I think for the it's not that their climb is easier than ours. They still have a lot of the things that are systemically against them that won't allow them to have the level of success at a what we'd say a regular rate. They still have the glass ceiling. They still get paid, you know, cents to the dollars, you know. And so, why is it that they're out achieving the black male? Plenty of reasons, you know, plenty of reasons. I believe that one of the major reasons is that there has been a specific targeted effort towards the black male that would put us in a space to where we aren't able to, not I wouldn't even say able to, but psychologically we don't believe that we are capable of certain things. And even when we are in the realm of doing stuff, we still don't feel that it's good enough, you know? Like, I know some brothers, they're mechanics and they're killing it.
Yeah.
They're doing great, and they're UPS truck drivers, or they're mailmen, or they're whatever they are, they're doing it, you know? But accepting that as being great, I don't know if we, I don't know if we've accepted that to, as something that you've done, like, what have I done with my man? You're doing it. You're doing it right now. You're not a statistic. You're not dead. You're not in prison. Can you do more? Of course you can do more.
Yeah.
But what happens to the love of self right where you are that will build the confidence that will allow you to be in a space to where you can meet a CEO and she can still resonate with your confidence and still find you attractive in that sense. But we are hard on each other. We're hard on ourselves. Like, man, there's so much more I could be doing. I should be. I could be. And all this other stuff that we can't even see that we have been climbing out of a pit for years. And where we are should be celebrated. Doesn't matter. I can't say it doesn't matter. It does matter, but it shouldn't matter. The level of educational success, financial success, and all these other things that we put out there as checklists before we can be in relation to the woman, or before they can be in relation to us. And I think that's that would take us a whole down a whole other path. There's another thing you said that
hold on, let me hold your thought, but because I want to explore that a little bit more and get your. So I've had that thought before, man.
Right.
If you go back to slavery, man.
Yeah.
The woman obviously was much better treated than the man, and it was the woman.
Was she though? Was she?
Okay. Yeah, that's a strong statement.
Was she? Come on.
That's a huge.
Yeah.
What I mean to say is that the woman had oftentimes a particular position of power on the plantation.
Right.
That oftentimes the men didn't.
All right,
that's what I'm saying.
Let's go there for a second, because I love the plantation talk, man.
Yeah. So let me set it up for you.
Set it up for me.
So the idea is that it was the woman's responsibility. The woman's responsibility. And she oftentimes had a particular sway over the slave master, where she could barter with the slave master for the protection of her children.
Right.
But she had to teach her children differently. So she had to teach the woman to be strong and headstrong to be able to survive the ills that particularly affected women on the plantation: rape and beatings and abuse from the wife, and teach her how to be wise and what's the word I'm looking for? Like almost like a secret agent on the plantation.
Yeah, like
wily, like
cunning.
Cunning. Whereas the male had to be dumbed down. You cannot show any type of aggression or ambition or any type of manly characters whatsoever. And so it kind of, the idea in general black studies is that throughout time, the women have continued to be raised in such a way where they're wily and cunning and ambitious and wise, and the men are kind of coddled,
Yeah,
and so
I definitely agree with both of them. If I could just add something, I think the treatment was equally horrendous.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That was definitely a slip of the.
It's okay. It's okay.
Me, y'all. Like, don't slave me.
No. But there's a point to it though, because both of them had their own residual impacts on the man and the woman. I don't know if I could put myself in the mind frame of a person that has to barter their body. Like I have to sell my body for the safety of my family, of my kids. Not even my family, just my kids. And it's still not a guarantee. I can get raped. I can get taken at any time. My daughter, my sons can be taken at any time. My husband could be emasculated in front of me. He could be married off. That he can be asked to have sex with someone else. That what I'm saying. So to subject someone to that's a lot. And if you fast forward outside of, when slavery ended, it didn't stop there for the woman. Then the woman had to be a person that held the household down,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the husband had to go out and be subjected to the verbal, the physical, for the most part. Not to say that women weren't out there, but women didn't get as many jobs as men were able to do, and so the expectation was women were supposed to stay and work. I mean, stay and build the home. But even in that, now you have the suppression of their intellect, their ability, their gifts, their talents, their brains, all these different things that it's like. So now I go from selling myself and still being not validated, not getting the outcome that I desired, and now slavery is over and so forth, and I still can't be my best,
Yeah.
And so, but on the other end of that, you have the man that's being emasculated, embarrassed, beaten down, and then like you said, have to dumb down his intellect, his strength, his ability, just so he won't die.
Yeah. And I would say too, man, just to add to the narrative,
Yeah.
like I think the roles never really changed after slavery, because if you consider
Yeah.
the women, because they weren't really stay-at-home moms, bro. We couldn't
Yeah.
afford that back in the
Yeah.
day. They had to go into the homes
And
of
do-
these same
and do
white
house-
families,
housekeeping,
man,
yeah, housekeeping,
and be subjected to that
Yeah.
same plantation woman, bro.
Housekeeping, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and suffer
and,
that same
you-
degradation.
you
And
know-
oftentimes the men weren't getting jobs, bro.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there has been this continual onslaught
Right.
where the woman has had to kind of
So you fast forward
Yeah.
all of that narrative,
Indeed.
right, to where we are right now,
Mm.
and we're still. All right. So let me just, if I can cut to the chase.
Yeah.
We're not in competition with each other.
Mm-hmm.
The man and the woman, the black man and the woman, that's not my competitor.
Mm-hmm.
When she achieves, I feel great. When I see a black woman doing her thing, I feel amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, wow, look at you, man. Like, let me celebrate you, And it's the same thing when we see a black man doing something great. I want to celebrate you, but that's not what all of our collective mind frames are, and we throw a lot of shade.
Indeed. Indeed.
Because that's some of the psychological stuff that was implanted in us,
Yeah.
that we are
Yeah.
competition,
Mm-hmm.
You're not my enemy,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And the brother out there is not my enemy, The mechanics are my enemies. Let me cut that out, right? Let me
Don't get me started, bro.
let me
Just keep pushing on that right now.
Let me just stop.
A sensitive topic for a brother at the moment.
Same for me. But the
Yeah.
point is, I think if we can do a 180 on that and look at each other and say, like, man, like, your success is my success, because they were holding all of us back.
Mm-hmm.
And now that some of us are peaking, what that does for the next generation is they can see us as peaking, like, man, now I'm going to go above that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we need to get out of the space of categorizing what success is and what it looks like,
Mm-hmm.
Man, I don't know what this brother was doing before he became whatever he became, I don't know what pathways he had to cut through to get out of his circumstance to be where he is right now, standing on his 2 feet, putting on a uniform, a name tag, and still have to subject himself to getting paid $15 an hour, $20, whatever the amount is. I don't know that brother's story. When I see him, I'm gonna respect him. I'm gonna affirm it, and I'm gonna believe in him. And I'm gonna even tell him, when he does a good job, look, man, I appreciate your service. Keep going. You know what I'm saying? How long have you been here? Have a conversation with him. Let him know I value him. Look him in the eye. And let him know, hey, listen, man, if ever you feel like you want to do more, how can I help? And I think that's a part of the struggle of, it's not between just a man and a woman. I think it's between black men and black men, black women and black women, and the black man and the black woman outside of the context of a romantic relationship. What can we do more to love each other in the struggle, to then love each other outside of the struggle, which is even harder, right? So when you surpass the struggle, it's hard to love another black person, because you think that person is coming for your spot. You feel threatened. I'm supposed to be the only. I'm like, what? Like, yo, nah, man, come through. Like, what do you need? How can I help? How can I build, reach back, and help people get to a space to where we're not fighting each other.
All right. Well, Matt, man, let's dig just a little deeper.
I didn't even get to the other space, man. When you were saying,
take it away, man.
No. I'm sorry, because it was so much that you poured into that.
Yeah.
You said that the women have been settling. Sometimes they actually have to settle, And I never think it's a settle, or like you're going beneath you when it's when it's another black male, because that dynamic already is a power couple. When you have the black man and the black woman in the household, bro, you're leaving legacy. That's more of us.
But maybe are we romanticizing that a bit? Like, what does it like? For me, bro, I can't marry a woman, be she a black woman,
Right?
If she can't hang with me to some degree intellectually, bro. Now I'm saying I don't mean she has to read the books I'm reading.
Yeah.
I don't mean that she got to be on it the way I'm on it, because I be on it, bro. I be in these books and I be watching these documentaries.
Right.
She ain't gotta be like that, man.
Right.
But man, she gotta have something to say, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like something to contribute.
So now you're moving from settling for less to now compatibility.
But I mean, these women, some of our black women are rather sophisticated, man.
Yeah, and
you know.
So let's say a person is a surgeon, right?
Mm-hmm.
And man, beautiful surgeon. She went to school 16 years, right? And she's a surgeon. But a mechanic is a surgeon too. So is a chef.
So we're not talking necessarily career. I think what I'm trying to hit
that
the women are trying to hit at, is that oftentimes our men are like these emotionally unavailable, like
so now
grunts, like you know what I mean? Like man, like I don't speak, like I don't.
Right,
I can't,
so
like
now,
I'm wounded, man.
Now you're talking about something else. Now,
okay,
right?
All right. So that's what I was trying to get at. So let's deal with it.
Let's go there for a second, right? So for an individual that feels like a person is just like this like animalistic beast, just like with
not even all that, just like man, like unavailable, man. A lot of my brothers are struggling in their marriages, man, because they have not dealt with their emotional issues, bro, and them joints is failing, man.
I get that. So
and let me just be transparent. I myself have failed in relationships because I was not where I needed to be emotionally, bro.
So here's another thing, and this is an honest thing that we have to do, right?
Yeah.
Before we get married, there are plenty of things that we can do to help that out, and I feel like we don't do those things, right? We get into marriages easier than we get into like a relationship with a business, because sometimes you get vetted for a while, man. They give you personality tests, you gotta do a drug test, right? You gotta, you know what I'm saying, you gotta do all these, gotta go trainings, 2 weeks probationary period, you gotta do all these things, and then after the 90 days, if they don't like you, to be like But in marriage, you can see a girl, like a girl, and not really invest in the building of self and the building of that person before you actually tie the knot, And so, yes, there are a lot of failures because we don't deal with some of the things that we need to deal with. I'm one example of that, myself, because I didn't deal with everything I needed to deal with. I dealt with some of them, which gave me some levels of success. But if both my wife and I didn't deal with most of the things we needed to deal with before we got in the relationship, then we wouldn't have had the success that we had. So I guess what I'm saying is invest in yourself. If you know that you're not, and sometimes you may not know, and the way that you know is by putting yourself in a space to where you can start challenging the norm that you've been that you've accepted, and the way you do that is by maybe exploring therapy, some brothers they will go to premarital counseling as long as they deal with the relationship, not with the individual. But guess what you're bringing in the relationship? Individuals. Yes, you're the individual, she's the individual. You bring them together. You have a collective of two people that are bringing their reality together, and you want it to work. It can work. Will it always work? No. And when it doesn't work, what do you do? Those are the tools that you build by dealing with the self and dealing with the collective that you do in premarital counseling. And so, there's an investment, but it's ongoing. Even after the marriage, after all the counseling, you may find yourself needing more assistance. Then what do you do? Well, you go back. You buy a car, throw it off the lot, it depreciates, right? It loses value. And the way you maintain that is by getting it checked up, getting that oil change, tire rotation, battery change, for the life of the car. If you want to have it for the life of the car, then you got to maintain it. Same thing with your relationship. Your relationship will have flat tires, the brakes may give out, the alignment may fall off a little bit, you might be, swerving a little bit. You got to do what you got to do to maintain the relationship in the same way. And that's with the self and with the car, because the car doesn't, well, the car will start driving itself, but for now, the cars aren't driving themselves. We're driving the car. So if I'm a bad driver, then I need to improve on what I need to improve on and not just say, man, this car sucks, right? The car may suck, but what am I bringing to that as well? Same thing in the relationship. Yes, the relationship may not be the best, but what do I contribute in the toxicity of what we're experiencing, you know? And then how can I better myself to be the best self in this equation?
Got you. Okay, so talk to me, man, and we're gonna close here soon. But imagine I'm your little brother.
Right.
You know, you're who you are right now, man.
Right.
And you got your marriage and family therapist. You've been married, and I'm looking to find the right woman.
Yeah.
And get married in another 2 years or so. Something like that. Man, what's your advice to me, man? How do I prepare myself for that kind of journey, man? How do I know? Like, what about the issues I'm not aware of? How do I? You know what I mean? Talk to me, man. Like, what would be your advice given your experience, man?
Let's go back to where you started with Pastor Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
That story is incredible. And I think that if you would ask his wife the same, she would probably say that he saved her as well.
Mm-hmm.
There is salvation in saving as well, you know, and reaching out, you know, because when you're extending, you know, you're giving, you know, and you're receiving too. You know, your hand out isn't a hand out to only give, but you're in the receiving end, because in giving, that's a blessing, you know? And so I would definitely advise any young person, you know, to be able to, you know, extend themselves, to be able to receive as well, to not just be the person that's on the giving end, but be able to receive and not beat yourself up for where you are. Start loving yourself for where you are, you know, wherever you are. Fat, skinny, fat is a thing, you know, overweight, you know, it's not like a knock on the size, but love yourself. Wherever you are, love you. The tall, the bald, the short, the whatever, the degrees, no degrees, wherever you are, be able to say that I can love me where I am. And in doing so, with receiving love or not receiving love, you will be okay. So in the relationship, when you commit to it, if the person doesn't have the love to give you, you don't start declining. You don't start, you know, like imploding, like because she doesn't think this of me right now. Yeah, that's just right now. But what do you think of you?
Yeah.
Do you love you enough to maintain in the space to where she may not have it,
Yeah.
or he may not have it? Do you love yourself enough? Because there will be times where the person may be too tired, sleepy, hungry, depressed, grieving, whatever, that they may not have it to give you. You have to give it to yourself. So I guess to just round it off is just start with acceptance of self, loving of self, and even affirming yourself to where you are before we start trying to be like, you know, yo, what's up? Yo, what's up? You know, holla at me, you know, because what you're looking for is just to be filled, and you can't even do that for yourself. And you know, just
so that's what I'm trying to get at, man. Something. What do you like? How do I get down the road to loving myself, man? To accepting myself as a black man, like before the woman comes along, so that I won't sabotage this joint when I get into it, man. Like, what is the work that has to be done, man?
Well,
you know.
Great question, man. I think daily we have to look, assess, process, and accept. You know, look meaning take a full scan. You know, visual, mental, whatever. Just think about where you are and who you are. You know, and assess it, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and then accept it. Acceptance doesn't mean you're settling. You know, acceptance just means, okay, this is where I am.
This is what it is.
And then affirm yourself. Wow, what are the things in my life that I am most proud of? You know, where am I right now that I wasn't a month ago, a year ago, 5 years ago? You know, and then be okay with those things daily. I have to do that to myself. And the days I don't do that are the days I feel the most drained mentally, spiritually, you know, emotionally, because I didn't take time out to give to me. I'm giving to others. I'm in the field of that, but I have to give to me. I have to take time to give to me. You know, let me go ahead and
no worries.
You can wrap up. Real quick.
Yeah. So I would add too, you know, as a young black male who is unmarried, you know, I've really had to do some work, yo, on myself after some failed relationships, and see that I was not always a hero. I was both a hero and a villain. And I think a part of that loving myself has been, man, simple things like figuring out what I actually like, man.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
like, and then doing those things like that make me happy, so that I know who I am. Like,
wow,
this is who I am.
That's like a Jedi mind trick, because we've been fed so many things about what we should like, what we should do, where we should be, that we don't even know who we really are. You know. But when you start to really experience the freedom of not being weighed down by other people's expectation and their desires for you, man, then you start to really excel, because you can make a mistake and still love yourself. You can try this thing and succeed at it and still love yourself. You can try something and not like it and still love yourself. But you're doing it. It's you. It's fully you. You're developing yourself now, to where the opinions, the just the views of others are secondary to what makes you whole. You know, and I think that's important. Starting with the self, loving the self, accepting the self exactly where you are. You know, so that's the start, man. I really think this is a great conversation.
Yeah, man.
And I hope we can have more of it.
Yeah, I think we're definitely gonna need a part 2, because there's a lot I want to touch on, man. Like, I want to talk on the, you know, bitches and hoes culture in our society, man. You know, like, in my family, man. I remember I sat down with a few of my family members, man, and they expressed some really negative opinions about women, and it shocked me, bro. Like, whoa, like, I think I have been in that university culture, particularly Christian universities, the HBCU, where I think you would have to be a fool to deny the beauty and genius of black women. You know, but you know, other of my family members who haven't been exposed to that environment only see what's, you know, the crackheads, the you know, strippers, and no diss on strippers, right? Like, it's your body, I guess. You know what I'm saying? All of that. But, you know, the women that in positions that patriarchy would consider degrading and low, and they don't see that value in the women, and they don't see that value in themselves. So it's a lot of things we're gonna have to touch on, man. We're definitely gonna have to have a part 2.
I'm like, I want to jump in.
Right. So let's save it for next time.
Cool.
And so, man, I've appreciated this convo, man, and I wanted to really try and play the role of my sisters as best as I could to kind of get you as a man to give us some good stuff.
I'll be honest, man. You know, there isn't gonna be one thing that everyone will agree on, and that's okay. You know, a sister may hear this and hate it, be like, "You suck," you know, and someone would be like, "You know what? Maybe there is some truth in that." And it's not for us to all to come together and agree. It's for us to come together and converse.
Yeah, indeed.
And talk.
Indeed.
And learn.
Indeed. Okay. Struggle Love, everybody, with Matthew Jean here. My name is Robert Bailey. I'm a therapist and social worker. Matthew is the CEO and primary therapist at Beachstone Counseling.
Beachstone?
Yeah, and we're definitely going to be back with Matthew to talk some more, y'all. So I hope this was of value to you. Young Pillars, episode 1 is a wrap. Turning boys into men. And then the Pillars. Matt, I appreciate you, man.
For sure.
For sure.
All right.
This is Andwele, Losing My Religion, from Dreams of My Father. Check them out, yo. Dope stuff.
First, Papa set me down, told me, son, you never play with words. But we was grinding through the night to spend our days in church. Couldn't tell you why I left. Dog on Trey and Ricky dead, and I got choppers to the left. Taking everything within and telling Doe to let me out, cause I could see the devil lurking. Now he got us to my steps, nigga. Greatest story never told, got the best written. I remember Bam told me I'm the best spittin'. Dead bodies in the street ain't the best feeling. Yo, we all the blood cousins in the set trip.